Let's also start the recording before I forget, because I almost forgot. This is my old top 25 games list. I love these kind of lists. It's just always been a guilty pleasure of mine. I love what did I want to say? I love tier lists. I love rankings. I like to do them for myself, actually. I posted on Blue Sky, but other than that, I pretty much just have this for myself. I like it as an exercise of thinking about the type of media or art that I consume and what I like about it. It's good. I think it's a good reflection for myself to actually think about why I like stuff. And I also like to share my excitement for pretty much anything that I'm excited about. And no surprise, that includes games. So that's why I like to do it on stream. And I think if we're doing like a chill little Christmas stream, we can take the time to do this, right? So this is my old list. And I will pretty much start working from this, and I will go through all the games a little bit. We're not going to make it like completely new, but we will rearrange some stuff. We will probably get rid of a few games, because this is like... How old is this? Almost 3 years. Well, yeah, like 2.5. I think I changed it when I played Persona 5 Royal, which was like 3 to 2.5 years ago. Because that was the latest game at the time that really shook up my gaming experience. And I haven't played a lot of these games in a while, and I am going to quickly just go through these. I know that Grandia 2, I'm sorry, but you're probably going to leave. I haven't played that game in so long. Same with Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Hellpoint, I love you, but let's get rid of you for now. You're an amazing game, but probably not top 25. Same with actually all of these. And Metroid Fusion. The Banner Saga. I only played through the Banner Saga trilogy once. I am going to apologize to the games. I love all of the games that I just deleted, and some may find their way on here again. But I think... Actually, Armored Core, maybe. Was Final Fantasy 3? It is! God, I love Final Fantasy 3. That's why it's here. Where's my mouse? Capture cursor is on. It just doesn't do it, though. Nope. We have to... Wait, there it was for a second. There it is. I don't know why it didn't show up earlier. I think all of the games that are currently on here will be on here when we're done. Right now, it doesn't feel right to get rid of any of these games. Yeah. Once we're finished, I will pretty much go through game by game what I like about it. That is, well, I'm just going to feel it out. I haven't done one of these lists in a while. I think the last one I did on stream was the Dark Souls Trilogy boss ranking that I did in 2021. That's a long time ago. So, let's just fill in the gaps first. I'm just gonna vibe it out, by the way. I have nothing planned. But because I did this before, and I'm pretty confident that these games are still in my top 25. That's why I assumed we wouldn't take super long for this. Though I will talk about why I like every single game and why it is on here. let's get the big one out of the way first. I know there is controversy right now, and I dislike it that there is controversy, and that we can't enjoy anything without AI fucking it up. But just for the impact that it had on me this year and the amount of excitement that it brought me and the fun I had with it, I have to put Clair Obscur Expedition 33 on here. It sucks that it's being tainted right now by the whole Gen AI thing. I've now seen the actual textures. It was, at least the screenshot that I saw was, it was like newspaper and posters on like walls and what are they called? In Germany they're called Litfaßsäule, like pillars for advertisements. I don't know what the English word for that is. In Lumiere. I'm not sure if they were there at release, when they got replaced, if they were only there as like placeholder during the demo or anything. Advertising column, yeah. But it sucks. I wanted to address it. It sucks, but I still have to put this game on here. It is legitimately a masterpiece, in my opinion. Now, I actually do have to check my Steam library, because my memory is terrible, to see what actually else has a good chance of getting up there. Maybe let's address some games that are not going to be up here, even though they feel like they should be for me. Mainly Elden Ring and Tears of the Kingdom. I'm a huge Souls of fan. Persona 5 is here. Persona 5 was already on here. Elden Ring, I really enjoyed. And it will be a while until I play it again. It's a great game for a first and even a second playthrough for me. Other than that, it's just too big. And I like the more focused. I think the Souls formula, the Souls combat works best in a more focused setting, in a more focused world. That's why my second favorite From Software game is Sekiro. I love that game. But yeah, Elden Ring, I would rather go back and play like Dark Souls 3 or anything than go back and slog through a lot of the downtimes. Like, Elden Ring has a lot of highs, but it also has quite a bunch of lows. And that just... that makes it unappealing for me at the moment. Tears of the Kingdom, I talked about before, because Breath of the Wild is here. And Breath of the Wild is actually, like... I mean, Majora's Mask is here, but other than that, Breath of the Wild was the only Zelda game on this list. Also a series that I'm really partial to. Breath of the Wild is a masterpiece in my opinion. And it may surprise some people. I actually got in a bit of a... like, some guy quote tweeted me on Blue Sky when I last said something about Tears of the Kingdom, saying that something like, it was like, real G's know that Tears of the Kingdom makes Breath of the Wild looks like a pre-alpha or something. I highly disagree. Breath of the Wild is an amazingly designed open world game. It's probably my favorite open world game in that regard. Extremely good. I talked about this at conveying the mechanics and what everything in the world is. When you go on a mountain, you can clearly see everything and know exactly just by how it looks what it is and what it's for. That's amazing. That's legitimately amazing. It's genius in its simplicity. It opens up because it is simple. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is insanely impressive. I'm not even talking about the story, but the story is also better in Breath of the Wild. Correct. What the fuck is that? Techno the Chocobo. I think that's Final Fantasy V. The logo is so small. Tears of the Kingdom, first off, I dislike Ultra Hand. When I go into a dungeon or like a shrine and I see a bunch of shit lying in the corner and it's like, here, build it yourself. I always sigh, that's never what you want. But a lot of people like it, so I'm not going to hold it against the game itself. It's just where Breath of the Wild was very focused in its world design, Tears of the Kingdom was not. It really feels like they just added shit so much. And just because of that, it lost the simplicity that made the open world work, that made it engaging. It's just, oh, now you have the sky, but it's not really a lot going on. You have the underworld, which is terrible in every regard, but hey, you have to go through it. It's one other thing to manage. It feels like a chore. It felt like a chore. Where did the hot birdman go? Exactly, why is Cass not there? And I also disliked the story in general. I do like the beginning. And I did like parts of the story that I'm not going to spoil here. But overall, it doesn't hold a candle to Breath of the Wild. So don't expect Tears of the Kingdom to be here just because Breath of the Wild is here. Now that we have those out of the gate, would Baldur's Gate be a candidate? Absolutely. And fun fact, not only is Baldur's Gate 3 a candidate, that I'm pretty certain will end up here. I hadn't finished Baldur's Gate 3 the last time I made this list. Another game that is potentially up here, though I can see it maybe getting removed because I haven't played this in super long, is Baldur's Gate 2. I love Baldur's Gate. Wait, is that one just with Karlach? Is the Digital Deluxe Edition that's just Karlach? Sorry, Karlach, but I don't want to... This says Digital Deluxe, and I didn't play that. Sorry, Karlach. Love you. I love Baldur's Gate 2. It was one of my favorite games as a child. But it's been so long since I played Baldur's Gate 2 that I'm not sure I can put it on in good faith. The same goes, although I'm replaying it right now, for System Shock 2, which was one of my favorite games for the longest time. But I also haven't played that in like more than 10 years at this point, more than 12 years at this point. And I only just started it again. So I'm not sure if that will make it in. Let me see what else. What else is in my Steam list? What else did I play? A huge amount of, or left an impact over the last few years. Fuck, maybe. Yeah, let's put it on. People will not like it. But I don't care. I like it. Dragon's Dogma 2. I described it as a hot mess from a technical perspective and pretty much a 7 out of 10 game. But it's my 7 out of 10 game, okay? It just hits everything that I love. I know it's flawed. It's insanely flawed, actually. But it just hits so much of what I like. The very, very small list of games on my Steam, I will not say how many. Jesus Christ. I'd rather not say how many. I mean, I have a few in mind. I just want to see if I'm missing anything. Because, again, I play a lot of games. It's one of my biggest hobbies. It is many, yeah. I mean, again, a game like Gothic 1, which was on here, I only pretty much removed because it's been so long since I played it. Same goes for Fallout 2, actually. But I do love those games. I do want to replay them. In my opinion, by the way, I don't think this is super controversial, although all of the people who only played the 3D Fallouts will get on my ass about it. Fallout 2 is by far the best Fallout, right? We all agree on that? It's not even close, in my opinion. We need way more time, yeah. Yeah, we do. Stupid work. Oh yeah, these are two that I don't know if they will stay, but hey, we can put them on. Liza P, which I recently played the DLC, which was fantastic. And Metaphor Fantasio. Have I considered becoming a streamer? I mean, the question is, have I considered becoming a full-time streamer? And the question is no. I have like 3 viewers on average. I wouldn't afford to pay bills. I wouldn't be able to afford to pay bills. Both of these games I really love. Actually, Liza P has one thing that I want to talk about. The more we get into this list, and when I go through it all to explain my choices, I do have considered. I mean, I have dreamed about it. Of course, it's the dream when you start online content creation, right? They're like, maybe I can one day support myself with stuff that I like this. Yeah, but it's at this rate is never going to happen. I've been streaming in the last. I mean, I've already been re-streaming for 2 years, and I have almost no growth, which is fine. I do it for fun, but that means that doing it as a job is pretty much out of the question. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be. As long as I like doing it. Now, Liza P. One thing that you will notice with a lot of these games is that what I value in games is atmosphere, world building, and overall design in a... Yeah, I guess world building would be the best way to describe it. Like the way that you constructed the world for me to experience. And the atmosphere. And I'm more willing to accept flaws in gameplay design and graphics and jankiness than I am willing to play a super polished game that feels totally bland to me. So, games like Gothic 1 is the perfect example, actually. Because that game has fantastic atmosphere, and it has a cool story and a cool world, and it's janky as fuck. It's probably one of the most jank games I've ever played in my life. But I love that game. Liza P is one of the rare exceptions. Liza P is polished to a sheen, but it also has amazing atmosphere. It also has amazing world building. But it's insane how polished this game is. The same could be said for like Clair Obscur and Baldur's Gate 3. But I mean, look at the top row. Like this is Majora's Mask is just janky because it's an N64 game, and N64 games I think have not necessarily aged the worst, but aged the jankiest in my opinion. Morrowind is gameplay-wise an insanely janky game. Dark Souls has a fair amount of jank. But they're still some of my favorite games because they get right what I love. That was a side tangent. Let's look for a few more games. I also wanna... I sometimes want to put in a game that's like very out of left field that people don't expect. Oh yeah, okay. That's not this, by the way, but I need to put it in. I'm shocked that it wasn't there already. I probably hadn't finished it. Okami. Okami needs to be on this list. It needs to be fairly high, actually. The first time I played Okami fully was on stream, like late 2020 to mid 2021. I don't completely remember. It was my early phase of streaming before my break. That was the first time that I actually played through it. I loved this game so much. I've since replayed it with Kikon watching. Because we do some private streams that none of you are invited to. It's just a little nice couple time for us. I fell in love with it even more. Love Okami. Man, this definitely needs to be on here. See, this is why I'm going through my list, because I would have forgotten about Okami, which is a shame. I don't know why, it's just so many games. I mean, obviously I don't have my console games on here, but I don't want to, like, go and watch, like, look through my cartridges and anything. I think most of the console games that really left an impact on me are already on here. Like I was about to say my bitch ass wants to. I'm debating putting an MMO on, but the thing is MMOs are so non-static. That is a good call. That is a very good call. I only played through it once. But that's also a game that really, really left an impact. And I can only highly recommend every single person who even vaguely has an interest in the themes that this game has needs to play Dungeons of Hinterberg. Man, this game deserves way more love than it gets. Where's Need for Speed Underground 2? I'm pretty sure that's a game I've never played. Because I don't play racing games. I don't even play Mario Kart that much. Now we do have 25 games here. But the question is, are these the games that I'm now just going to have to rearrange? Or something getting thrown away? That is the question. I mean, a contender every single time I talk about my favorite games is also Sacrifice, which is also a game that needs more love, needs more people remembering it. It's so unique. Can I put more on here? Sacrifice. I can't. Right. Sacrifice. I cannot. I wish I could put like something to the side here. But I can't. Sacrifice is amazing. It's this very unique blend of third-person RPG and RTS in this weird, shiny entertainment style that pretty much is immediately recognizable. Love that game. This is one of the games that actually really deserves a remaster. It's not a lot. I think there are games that are getting remastered that don't need it, that are perfectly fine as is, but Sacrifice does need it, just as a boost. Now again, Fallout 2, I could argue. Neo: The World Ends With You. That's a pretty left field kind of game. You know what? Let's get rid of Baldur's Gate 2 because it's just, I know I love that game. But it's just been so long that I can't in good faith put it on here. I know that regarding that game, I'm very, I'm wearing like the biggest rose-tinted glasses. And let's instead put, shouldn't only write Neo. There are probably 7 million games called Neo. There it is. Neo: The World Ends With You. I love both The World Ends With You games. But I prefer Neo. I haven't replayed that also in a while, but I do love that game. I mean, something that you can also see is that I heavily prefer RPGs over other games. And that has always been... No, it has not always been the case. Fun fact, the game that really got me into RPGs is this little guy up here. Nerd! Yeah, I am. That's why you're watching me. I mean, I played Zelda and stuff, but that's not really... like, it's RPG adjacent. But I never really liked RPGs. I mean, I played Baldur's Gate 2 as a child. I told the story before. It was the first... like, pirated game I've ever played. My brother got like multiple burnt CDs from a friend with Baldur's Gate 2 on it. We hadn't, none of us had played 1. None of us had played D&D. And he came up to me because we only had a family PC, and he said, Ben, I need to talk to you about this. I really want to play this. But if we do this, I need to talk about it with you, because we will have to deinstall everything else. This game is 2 gigabytes. It's like, whoa, 2 gigabytes! So we actually had to get rid of every other game we had on our family computer because it wouldn't fit. Yeah, but I played Baldur's Gate 2. I did play Fallout 2, but only very slightly as a child. Like, young teen. Let's say young teen. That's more like it. And my favorite genre was probably more like shooters and RTS. I play a lot of RTS. Something that I don't really do anymore. And I found Morrowind like a few years after it came out. It was very shortly before Oblivion came out. Actually, it must have been like 2004 or 2003-ish. Probably 2004, actually. I found it for like $10 in the, the garbage bins at the electronics store, where just everything gets thrown, and then it just has one big label that says, everything in here is $10. I found it. Didn't think much about it. Didn't know anything about it. And since I first put in that disc, RPGs have been my favorite genre. That's the power of Morrowind to me. Morrowind is amazing. Last season games, yeah. Except it was already a few seasons old. I mean, I also really love fighting games, but I wouldn't necessarily put a fighting game in my top 25s. If I were to put a fighting game on, it would be Street Fighter Alpha 2. That's still my favorite fighting game. Super Street Fighter 2. If it were a Street Fighter 2 one, it would be Super Turbo. I think Super Turbo is the best Street Fighter 2 version. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get rid of System Shock 2. Because, again, same argument. It's been too long. And instead, I'm going to put in also a game that I haven't played in a while, but one that I really love. Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. Path of Exile, but I never get high on it. Correct. I only play hardcore. And in Path of Exile 2, I haven't played Path of Exile 2 that much. Path of Exile 1, I never finished the main story, but I came close to it. And in Path of Exile 2, I made it to the second act once. I'm going to look back into it again, though. The Shaman or Druid or whatever it's called is out now, and I've been looking for a strength... waiting for a strength intelligence class to come in. I haven't played all of the Castlevanias. I haven't even played all of the Metroidvania Castlevanias. But I love Aria of Sorrow. that just abruptly ended. Oh, it's the Fat Chocobo theme. I'm now debating because there are two games that I'm still debating. Is Metroid Fusion putting it back on, and StarCraft 1, because StarCraft 1 is also a game that no, and I need to put this on. No, a game that has weaved its way back and forth through my life. The question is, what do I get rid of? It might now actually just be Castlevania, even though I just put it on. I'm debating one of these three. Or Castlevania. Yeah, out of these four, it's Castlevania. I'm sorry, you had your brief stint. I love you, Area of Sorrow. I need to replay you. Like so many others. Legitimately one of the games I haven't played in so long, but it is one of my favorites. Master of Orion 2. I very, very rarely, sadly, with my best friend, play turn-based strategy. And for a good while, we played Master of Orion 2, and it was a game that I played as a child so much. And I still think it's pretty much the king of space-based 4X turn-based games. I need to have this on here. I think this is what we're working with. Now it's just changing them around. And like putting them in the right order and then just going through and talking about them. Let's be real. The first 5, probably actually the first 6 games, will not change their position. But right after that, I'm putting Clair Obscur. Yeah. I'm putting Master of Orion at the bottom, because it's not that important to me. Same with Neo and Liza P. And this feels like a good place for Dragon's Dogma 2 because of all the flaws that it has. But it's just, it hits so many notes for me personally. I love the gameplay loop. Final Fantasy IX might get on. I mean, so far I'm really enjoying it. So far I'm enjoying it more than 7 or 8, I'd say. We'll see if that continues to be the case. We're still very early in it. Speaking of Final Fantasy, I think I'm gonna pump Bloodborne down a bit. I do love Bloodborne. I haven't played it in a while. Okami needs to be higher. God damn it, this is difficult. How many people will get mad at me if I put Final Fantasy 3 over Baldur's Gate 3? Probably all of them, right? Everyone will get mad at me. Based. I mean, there is a reason that my Blue Sky bio says #1 Final Fantasy 3 defender. I love Final Fantasy 3. But I can't in good conscience put it higher. Even though it's been a coward, I am. Or am I? No. But even though it's been a while since I last played it, I'm going to bump Persona 5 up. To here, actually. You got a point there, Sparky. You do have a point there. The big question for me right now, and I know this is also a game that maybe like if at all, one person here has maybe heard about it, is Disciples 2. Do I put Disciples 2 down? Disciples 2, except for like Morrowind and Zelda, has been the game that has been in my top 5 games the longest. But I also haven't played Disciples 2 in a long time. And the older I get, the less, at least on my own, I play strategy games, even turn-based strategy games. And I do love turn-based strategy. I play it a lot with friends of mine. Mainly Heroes 3 and Master of Orion 2. And Civ. I don't actually know which civilization we're playing. I think it might be 6. I think it's 6 we're playing right now. Dominion 6 also one. But this to me is a pure single-player experience. Pretty much all of these are, actually. Master of Orion 2 might be the biggest exception to that, although I do occasionally just fire it up to have a nice, relaxing little space empire building. I'm going to put Disciples 2 down, but not a lot. Does this feel right? That's always the question. I mean, with something like this, it's never going to be 100% right. Tomorrow I might wake up and feel like what was I thinking putting one of these games on here, and why didn't I put, I don't know, StarCraft on here? Another game that came to my mind, this is also controversial by the way, is a Donkey Kong Country game. And I also talked about this in the past. If I were to put a Donkey Kong Country game on here, there's only one choice for me, because I very, very definitely have a favorite Donkey Kong Country game. In the past, it used to be like based on my daily mood, but by now I 100% have a favorite Donkey Kong Country, and it's 3. It's easily Donkey Kong Country 3, actually. I love all of those. I also love DK64, but that's the same thing with like Baldur's Gate 2. I haven't played that game in like 20 years. So I don't really remember that much about it. Donkey Kong Country 3, however, love that game. And it is my favorite. No, 3 is Kitty and Dixie. Which is already controversial. I feel like... exactly. I'll be completely honest. I think the hate that DK3 gets is entirely unjustified. And it is, in a lot of cases, in my opinion, wholly based on the characters you play. I think a lot of people can't see past the fact that you play as a girl and a baby. And not as Donkey or Diddy, the cool characters. I fully believe that. I think that's why people don't like this game as much as the other two, and I think it's stupid. That's a little Donkey Kong Country 3 rant, even though it's not on the list. But it would be, if I were to put a Donkey Kong Country on. I think, for now, this is fine. This is what I'm gonna go with. Actually, let me download it, so I have it. Thinking Dixie was the coolest. I do like Diddy. Like, I love Diddy as a character, especially as a child. But there's no... I mean, playing as Dixie is definitely the best, right? She has the best abilities. But I think a lot of people were like, oh. Like, especially children back then were like, oh, a girl. It was fine when she was Diddy's support. But not the main character, and the other one's a baby? No, people are stupid. DK3 is amazing. Yeah, she does. Porta potties, like the biggest porta potty company in Germany is called Dixie. But what can you do? Again, I think this is fine. So, let's make our way up to the list, the international gesture for making yourself up through the list, and talk about every single one of these games in a very quick manner. So we do get to some Chrono Trigger. I talked a bit about the games that I added down here. Master of Orion 2 is, again, in my opinion, one of the best space 4X turn-based strategy games. It's an absolute comfort game for me. It's super old, I know that. But the gameplay loop just works, and it's really fun to play with multiple people, because as opposed to like later games like Galactic Civilizations and Stellaris that kind of hit in the same spot, this is, while it has some complexity, it's still simple enough to actually have a nice flow when you play with someone else. A lot of modern 4X games get so complicated, which is cool on one hand, but on the other hand, when you play it with someone else, every single turn takes so long that it feels like nothing is really happening and you're not getting through the match. That doesn't happen with Master of Orion 2. Love that game. Neo: The World Ends With You. If one game on this list is underrated, it's this one. I fear for the life of the World Ends With You franchise, because it's a Square Enix game. It's a Square Enix IP. And Square Enix tends to axe anything that doesn't make a lot of money. Like an insane amount of money. They thought that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was a disappointment, even though it sold like cake. It's a miracle we actually got a second one at all. So I guess we should be thankful for that. It's just, this is what made me play Persona. I bought this on a whim. I never had... I heard about it, but I never really looked into it. I thought that I didn't like this contemporary, very Japanese, playing in real locations kind of setting with like modern music and everything. I bought it on a whim on a sale because I just wanted to try it. I wanted to try something different. Loved it. Love the gameplay. It has a very weird gameplay loop where you assign abilities to every character and then you play every single character at once. Like you can have, I think you can have up to 6 people in your party, and then every single character will have one button assigned with different cooldowns. It's a mess, but it's a wonderful mess once it clicks. And I really love the story and the setting. And the characters. I mean, he's very small there, but this guy here, Frank, I love the himbo characters. We will get to those when we talk about Persona 5 again. But yeah, love that guy. I have not. I don't think I've actually heard about it. Keycon, make a note, please. I need to check that out. Thank you. Liza P. I don't think anyone needs... Anyone who is into Souls-likes needs an introduction to Liza P. It's clearly... the same crowd that hypes up Neo also hyped up Aegis. Then I will definitely check it out. Again, Liza P is polished to a sheen, and it still hits a lot of atmospheric beats for me. I love the take on Pinocchio. I love what they make of it. Again, I recently replayed it and played the DLC for the first time. It just works, and the gameplay loop is fantastic. I still really love, honorable mention at this point, I really love Hellpoint. Hellpoint is the Souls-like that, in my opinion, gets the closest in atmosphere to the original Dark Souls. And I have played Hellpoint on the Hellpoint playthroughs on the VOD channel. I played it first thing when I returned to streaming, next to Final Fantasy VII. It's a great game. It's very janky, though. Liza P, not janky at all. So many great boss fights. So many great story beats and lore tidbits. offers enough to replay it. The only thing that I kind of dislike is that it's very linear. But that's not a big thing. I feel like I should criticize games more for what they are than for what they are not. And I just prefer when it comes to Souls-likes, I just prefer something like Dark Souls, which is very, very open, but not open world. Dark Souls is a Metroidvania, by the way, deal with it. But yeah, Liza P, amazing. Start Dragon's Dogma 2. When I go through these games, Dragon's Dogma 2 is probably the one that has like the least Metacritic score out of these games. Probably by a lot. Yeah, it's a buggy mess. It runs like shit when you don't have a high-end PC. It has a lot of cool ideas that fully fall flat because it was way above their head. Like, they want to have this interconnected world where they allow everyone to talk with everything, and if you make something, it should relate to all of these other people, but they just don't follow up. People don't... I remember in Dragon's Dogma 1, I got thrown in jail by the Duke for trying to sleep with his wife, and then I broke out of jail, and the Duke would just greet me normally after that. And the same is still true in Dragon's Dogma 2. But it is a fantastic open world. It is... I love how dark this gets. I mean that in the literal sense. When the day turns to night, even with lanterns, you can see like 5 meters ahead in the woods. Things freaking scare you. It's so dark at night. And I love that because you kind of have to prepare of it. He found his peace with it, yeah. It's more like that never finished the game. I love the gameplay loop. I love the different classes. I love leveling them up. Vocations, whatever they're called in Dragon's Dogma. And I admire the dedication of the director to put the most interesting bits of lore behind the credits. Because both of these games have a post-credit game that is the more interesting part story-wise. And especially Dragon's Dogma 2, I didn't realize it when I played first, but when you start up the game, you get a title screen and it says Dragon's Dogma. You only get the title Dragon's Dogma 2 after the credits. If you walk around in the credits and try to kill a ghost that's talking to you, or like disrupt him, then you get thrown into the post-game, like a post-apocalyptic version of the world you just played in, and then you get the Dragon's Dogma 2 logo. Because everything before is just a reimagining of the first game, I guess. Love this game. It's so flawed, but I love it. I thought this was the most underrated game. It's Dungeons of Winterberg. It's pretty, well, both of those, I guess. It's insanely charming. It's a combination of Persona-style social links and time management, Zelda-style dungeon crawling, Souls-like combat, a lot of puzzles, a cool story, insanely cool like cel shading aesthetic, playing in an Austrian village in the Alps. Why are not more people playing this game? I talk it up every single time I see a post about it on Blue Sky. I do my best to talk it up. This game is 100% worth it. 100% worth the money. No one has heard of it. I don't know why. I legitimately don't know why. It's just amazing. It's an amazing indie game. It's a debut title for the studio. It's an Austrian studio. Highly recommended. It's not expensive. I think it's $30 for what you get, like 20 hours of gameplay out of it. And I'm going to replay it somewhat soon because I love that game. You only see me raging. You don't hear what I'm saying. That's funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah, play Dungeons of Hinterberg if any of that sounds interesting to you. Any of like Souls-like combat, it's pretty cozy still, while also pretty it can be pretty challenging. I will maybe play this on stream sometime next year. Right now we're doing Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy IX. Then I will do Final Fantasy IX for just a chunk, and then I will either play Terranigma or Dungeons of Hinterberg when we get to the next phase of having 2 games. And then we swap it around, I guess. Metaphor. Metaphor, it's been a while since I played it, but I recently started listening to the soundtrack again, which is amazing. Love the rapping Buddhist priest chanting at me in Esperanto. Such a weird design decision, but I love it. A lot of the monsters in here are based on, was it Hieronymus Bosch's pictures, but made even weirder. And you know what? The creature designer at Atlas, or the creature designers more likely, they're living their best life, and I'm just here for it. This is really just like an epic fantasy adventure, and I pretty much only have one gripe with it, and it's the same gripe that to a lesser extent I have with Final Fantasy III. It pretty much has a job system, which is amazing. But please, developers, if you make a job system, like a system where I switch classes on characters and I level them, please don't include super jobs that make my previous work obsolete. Or if you do, make it like Final Fantasy V, which technically doesn't include one, but the freelancer, the default class, can be the best one if you level up a lot of other jobs beforehand. Metaphor made it so that, yeah, you can put any class, any archetype on any character in your party, but once you get to the like super archetypes, they have to be based on the archetypes that they had initially. I dislike that. But that's the only thing about this game that I dislike. Music, story, gameplay, world building, ideas behind it. Amazing. I can't wait for what Atlas does next. And I need to play more Atlas games. Thanks for making that a clip. I appreciate that. I need to pick up the pace a bit. Let's speed run a few of these, because I don't have that much to say about them that's not already known. Bloodborne. It's amazing. Everyone knows it. It's janky and it runs on 30 FPS, which is bullshit because it's never been ported. But you can make it run at 60 FPS in a certain ways, if you know how. It's probably setting-wise the coolest From Software game. Maybe bar Armored Core. But this, it starts out as like very Victorian, steampunky, leaning into classic horror with things like what pretty much amounts to werewolf and zombies, and then takes a sharp right turn into eldritch, Lovecraftian horror, Old One territory. I love it. It's also pretty short for Soulsborne, so you can just fly through it occasionally. Yeah, Bloodborne's great. Sunless Sea. This was a sleeper hit for me. I didn't know about this game. I didn't know about Fallen London at all. The main thing that I love about this game is I love the writing and the setting. The gameplay itself can be a bit tedious. It's pretty much a text adventure with some, like, merchant simulation and ocean exploring sprinkled on top. But the setting alone is worth it. I did, yeah, they did have it a while ago, like over a year ago. They had an opening for a writer, and I debated whether I should try to get in, but I didn't have a portfolio. Like, I had a little bit of a portfolio, but nothing. I felt it wasn't enough, so I didn't apply. That might be different if it ever, like, at the end of next year. Who knows? Final Fantasy III, despite not being higher than this, I always debate if I like Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6 more. I do prefer 6. But I say this one, by the way, this is Final Fantasy. Oh no, it's Final Fantasy 1 music. Never mind. I always describe Final Fantasy 3 as my special Final Fantasy. It's the first one that I played that I really connected with. And I love in the older games, in the NES games, that you didn't have pre-made characters. 2 kind of falls out of that, but 2 falls out of a lot of things. And I like naming those after my friends, and this game is the epitome for me of going on an adventure with my friends. And also insanely comforting game for me. This is, in my opinion, and I only played it a bit, the DS or 3DS, I don't even remember. The remake does not hold a candle to this game. The pixel remasters do not hold a candle to this game. I could rant about the pixel remasters especially of the NES games for so long. I'm not going to do it here. We're already, this already taken a while. But I highly, if you're into retro RPGs, I can just plead with you to give the original Famicom version with a fan translation a try. In my opinion, it's really worth it. Baldur's Gate 3. Again, just like Clair Obscur, a bit tainted right now because Larian CEO is hyping up AI in their workflow. But apparently, it wasn't used in Baldur's Gate 3 yet. Probably at this point, you gotta say, mainly because it wasn't really available during development of Baldur's Gate 3. But hey, we take what we get. It's a special game. It really is. I finished it for the first time in this year, and then I watched Kikon play through it. Very recently we finished it, or Kikon finished it. And there's so much in this game. I love how much it feels like an actual pen and paper campaign. More so, I think, than Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 always had more of a you're the chosen one kind of deal that is very at least to me, very anti-TTRPG. Because only one can be the chosen one, technically. And I mean, while you're far from a random schmuck in Baldur's Gate 3, it kind of feels like it. And yeah. Karlach and Gale are my favorite characters. Love the interactions. I love Jaheira. It's not my main reason, but it's one of the reasons I want to go back to Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, because I remember disliking Jaheira. But I think I was just a stupid teen. Because I love Jaheira in this game. Yeah. Man, it's a long one. But it's a good one. Probably I will replay this game in a year and a half or so, when it feels like it has left my mind for enough, and then I will just love it all over again. Same with Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is a bit of a cursed game on this stream because I tried to start it twice and it didn't work out. And now I just skipped it in my Final Fantasy playthrough. But we get to it after 9. After we're done with the PlayStation 1 games, I will go back and play Final Fantasy VI again. I have a soft spot for Super Nintendo games. I have a soft spot for the pixel art, the type of gameplay. Final Fantasy VI has just so many. It has one of the best character rosters. So many great moments. One of the best villains. Amazing music. The intro scene alone, with Terra on the walker and the somber music in the snow. Oh, pure nostalgia. Even though I didn't play it as a child because, Europe. We didn't get this one. Nor any Final Fantasy pre-7, by the way. I know Americans tend to say, well, remember, imagine our confusion when we had Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, and then we got 7. Well, we only got 7. They didn't even bother changing the number for us. It was just released as Final Fantasy VII. Where were the first 6? But yeah, love Final Fantasy VI. I played it through, like, for the first time in, like, 2010 or so? No, it must have been a bit later, because I played it after Chrono Trigger. Maybe, like, 2012. Yeah. I talked about Okami a bit in the beginning, when we put it on here. I only played through it for the first time when I streamed it a couple of years ago. I'm so happy that it's getting a sequel, although people forget that Okami then exists, which I also liked. But not as much as Okami. Okami is just, in the truest sense of the word, a special game. It's like lightning in a bottle. It happened once, and it came together, and afterwards Clover Studio closed down. Because originally this game did not sell well. It was too weird and Japanese for us Western boys. But by now, people love it. Rightfully so. I regularly put on music from the OST. I also talked about Breath of the Wild when I said why Tears of the Kingdom wouldn't be on this list. But again, it's one of my favorite open worlds to explore. And it is also... again, I love how good this game is at conveyance. It has very few simple building blocks for the gameplay loop that it explains to you pretty early on. It gives you all of the abilities pretty much pretty early on. And then it just lets you loose. And because it's so good at conveyance and the individual blocks are so simple, it makes it fun to engage with the world because you know what every single piece is for. Which is something, again, that Tears of the Kingdom struggles with wildly. And I just love the two ways you engage. With an open world game, one of the main ways you engage with the open world is by traversing it. That seems like a no-brainer, but hear me out. A lot of people don't think about this. In a game like Skyrim or even Dragon's Dogma, you're bound to go by foot. And Breath of the Wild, just the two decisions, give you a paraglider and make pretty much every surface climbable, changes immediately how you traverse the map. And it makes it so much fun to go through this world. Love Breath of the Wild. It's one of the few games, fun fact, that I restarted the playthrough immediately after I finished the first one. Or another one. But I think it was the first one for this. I got through the credits. The credits were done. I didn't even put the console down. I immediately started a new game. That happens very, 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 very rarely for me. Yep. Remember when I said we didn't get Final Fantasy VI or any Final Fantasy prior? Well, we Europeans got Terranigma. It's the third part of the unofficial Soul Blazer trilogy. A lot of people, I think it's because the American perspective colors the online discourse still. A lot of people only talk about Illusion of Time. What's it called in America? It's called something else. Illusion of Gaia. And that's a good game. But it's not Terranigma. I think more people should play this if you're into 16-bit action RPGs. It has a cool story, it has fantastic music. This was the first OST that I looked up on my own. Ever. And it has a cool storyline about rebuilding the world and rebuilding all of the life on it and then advancing human civilization. And for a game from, I think, 1995, you have a good chunk of influence through decisions. We're more than halfway done. It will only take like maybe 10 more minutes, I promise. Yes, I do. I do remember that. I mean, I loved video game music beforehand through Zelda and Donkey Kong mainly. But this, once I played this, and I played this when my friends were already playing Ocarina of Time because I didn't have an N64 yet. I bought this on a flea market, on a Christmas market actually. With Player's Guide that I still have. I want to rewatch it later. Yeah, who knows? Probably. Not the entirety of it though. Where was I? Oh, right. And I even remember the track. I remember the specific track that I wanted to look up because I wanted to listen to it outside of this game. It's the first time I've ever done it. It's Lhasa. It's when you're in Lhasa in Tibet. And yes, this game has real-world locations, though massively warped by its like fantasy depiction of it. It's amazing. I love it so much. I vividly remember looking that up. And it was not easy because when I played this, I was like 10. So it was very early internet. There was no YouTube. Yeah. Love Terranigma. That's also one of the games that we will replay next year. It's not that long. But it's fantastic. Also, fun fact. The first game I've ever streamed. My first stream was Terranigma. Sekiro. I said when I talked about Liza P, or like before in the video, that I value atmosphere more than tight gameplay. But that doesn't mean that I don't value tight gameplay when the rest fits. And Sekiro has just the best gameplay out of all the Souls games. I think that's not controversial. If it is, what are you talking about? It's pretty much just a DDR game. It's a rhythm game. And it's amazing. When you get into the zone and reflect every single hit of a boss, it feels so good. It feels so good. It's so tight. I wish they would make another game like Sekiro. A standalone, very focused, very unique, but still with like the touch of Souls-likeness into it. I would way prefer, not a sequel to Sekiro, but a game like Sekiro again to pretty much every other game that they could put out, including Bloodborne 2. I think also Bloodborne should not have a sequel. I think Bloodborne should have a port. Proper port, not even a remaster. Well, a remaster, not a remake, but a remaster, a port. But at this point, I legitimately think the conspiracy theory that I believe is that Sony lost the source code to Bloodborne. I can't explain why they haven't done anything with a vastly popular game as Bloodborne. I think they lost the source code. The Mirrored Flag? Yeah! It's made by Keycon. You can't hear that, but it's made by Keycon. Now we switch to a very old game. Also a game that may be the most unknown. Well, I guess Dungeons of Hinterberg no one knows, sadly, but people also don't know Disciples 2. I think it's from 2000 or 2001. It's a turn-based strategy game. Squad-based. You have a 6-person party. With 4 different races, undeads, dwarves, humans, and demons. And every single one of those has a very high fantasy, detailed campaign with its unique story that intersects with all of the other campaigns. And it's just legitimately a fantastic turn-based strategy game. Teetering almost to turn-based RPG because of the small group that you have, but you get rid of the other characters in your party once you switch maps. But every single member of your party, every single unit levels up, and evolves, like Pokemon style, into a different form, and you have control over, sometimes you have multiple choices what a unit evolves into. If you look at, do yourself a favor, look up Disciples 2, look up the unit portraits. Every single portrait in this game is a freaking art piece. And it's what made it stand out to me. I especially love the dwarves. Still do. Even though they're a slow race and I usually play like fast factions in strategy games. I am. Mass Effect. I cheated a bit. This is the Legendary Edition. Technically it's 3 games, but who the fuck only plays one Mass Effect game? What psychopath only plays one of the 3 games? You're missing 2/3 of the story if you do. I love Mass Effect. It feels like it's the last time that BioWare was special. And it feels like, especially Mass Effect 1 really started the age of modern gaming, quote unquote. That's probably just the vibes I'm getting, but to me it felt like the 5 or 6 years before Mass Effect 1 were had the good moments, but were pretty like meh. The whole PlayStation 3 era felt kind of weird to me. But Mass Effect changed that, and I'm going to come out. This is the controversial part. The best part is 3. The only part about 3 that's bad is bad because 2 fucked it up. That's the most controversial thing in this video. Mass Effect 2 was built around getting really cool party members, but then couldn't restrain itself and needed to have like the suicide mission where everyone could potentially die at the end of 2, which should have been reserved for 3, because they realized, oh fuck, all of the cool characters that can die in the last mission, we can't really give you back in Mass Effect 3 now. Because what if you only had like 2 survivors? I don't know. That's a rant for a different day. But that's the reason you don't get Mordin, you don't get Jack, you don't get Samara, you don't get Thane, you don't get all the cool characters you got in 2 in Mass Effect 3. They're only there for like a cameo. But yeah, Mass Effect. Just the Lovecraftian old ones, but robots in space. It's a cool concept for a story, and it really just builds over 3 games. Love that trilogy. Also love this game so much that I went back and played the old games, or I am playing the old games. Final Fantasy. That's just because of the music. Persona 5 Royal is the first Persona game I've ever played. Fell in love with it. A game that really affected me. It's rare. It's not rare, but rarely have I played a game where the post-game depression, like when it's done and I'm like, what do I do now? Hit as hard as with Persona 5. I love the characters. I love the story. I do love the gameplay, though it does have some hiccups. But just like the vibe you get through your day-to-day, but then you also fight demons in this weird dream palaces. Everything is weirdly designed. The music is, my god, so great. I listen to the OST so much. Every single one of these characters is special to me, but mainly, of course, Ryuji. I said it. I like the himbos in these games. He has such a cool character arc of being a dunce, an antisocial dunce that lashes out, to becoming a really, truly good friend. And I love that. I love that guy. I love these guys and these girls and these anthropomorphic kittens. Sometimes anthropomorphic. And now I went back and played Persona 1 because I'm a psychopath. He sure does. I do, yeah. Again, like, Stroll in Metaphor, though he's not really a himbo, but he kind of fills that role. Frank in Neo in Neo The World Ends With You had big himbo vibes. Yeah, Ryuji. I love the best friend type. I think that's more like it, but that does make for as good as a tagline. And now I'm playing Persona 2 Innocent Sin. Because I'm a psychopath, again, and I can't just start with 3 like a normal person would. I have to go back to the old games. Though I'm really enjoying Persona 2 right now. I'm not that far into it. But I really want to go through the entire series, and I do hope that they announce Persona 6 sometime next year. Let's get this one all the way. Again, it has received some tainting. But man, this game is so good. It's just so good. I know some people didn't like the plot twist in Act 3. I loved it. The whole story, the characters, the voice acting, in my opinion... I know the Game Awards. You can flame about the Game Awards a lot, and it did... I mean... It feels like it didn't definitely hawked it, but in my opinion, except for Best Indie Game, which was stupid that it was even nominated, it did deserve every single award that it got. This is one of the rare games where a game, like especially a debut game, legitimately is just special and hits everything right. Except for apparently AI use for some textures. Man, I just hate that. I said that last stream. I did write them an email. Like 4 paragraphs of please don't do this. It will just suck and it will just undo the good thing because they had debutantes, like people who had not worked in games. Give them important roles. In just an We Believe in You, the main writer had never written for a game before, had never published anything written. The main composer was found pretty much on SoundCloud and had never worked on a game before. And look how it turned out. What the fuck do you need AI for? Ran for another time. This game is amazing. Whew. Underrail. A bit earlier I said that Fallout 2 is definitely the best Fallout. I don't think this should be controversial. Fallout 2 is the best Fallout. And Underrail is the better Fallout 2, which says a lot for someone who glazes Fallout 2 as much as I do. It's just a very old school, post-apocalyptic CRPG. Insanely tough in places and insanely unfair in places. But it has some of the best story and lore design, and especially quest design, that I've ever seen in one of these games. This game is fucking unapologetic about its quest design, and I love that. In the DLC, as I mentioned that before, there is... Thank you so much for dropping by, Sparky. Happy holidays to you as well, and hope to see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it. Merry Chrysler, exactly. I told the story before. There is a quest in the main story, so it's non-skippable, of the DLC, that is, but still the main storyline of the DLC, that requires musical knowledge, is insanely tough, is random, so you can't even look up the solution online. And it is spread over like multiple PCs that are spread on different levels. So either you have a really good memory or you take screenshots, which I did. I did it with a guide and I'm musically trained. And it took me like over an hour still to figure it out. And there's no way around that puzzle if you want to complete the main quest of the DLC. That's a big fuck you to your players, and I just respect that. They're so unapologetic about it. They just did it. They just threw that in there and said, fuck you. It also happens pretty late in the storyline for the DLC, so you're already invested. I love it. Now, with all of these games, these 5 stand out even more. These have been my 5 favorite games forever. Pretty much since I first played these games. Disco Elysium is the last I played of it. And man, as someone who went through a toxic breakup, struggled with depression a lot of what is talked about in this game really hits for me. And I do identify with Harry a lot. This is what you should show to people if they argue that video games are not art. Because whoever goes through even like the first half hour or hour of Disco Elysium and argues that video games are not art has no idea what art is. This game is legitimately also lightning in a bottle. I don't think we'll ever get a game by neither of the 4 studios that sprang up after Zaum pretty much imploded. I don't think any of the 4 will produce a game that's even close to what we got with Disco Elysium. Dark Souls 1 is my favorite Souls game still because I value world building over everything else. And this game has the best world building and the best lore, the best atmosphere. Not necessarily the best lore, but the best atmosphere out of all the Souls games. And the interconnected world. This is a super comfort game for me. Like, compared with modern Souls games, it's not even that difficult. It's a bit janky, but I just fire it up and walk through Lordran because I love that game. This is the game that probably after Morrowind reshaped the most both how I play games and what games I play. Like from nothing to immediately, Souls-likes became one of my favorite genres. I changed my views on difficulty in games and how difficult games can be and should be, in very big air quotes. I tend to now play games on a higher difficulty because I find it more rewarding, and that's all thanks to Dark Souls. I don't really know what I should say about the next 3 games that I haven't said 100 times already. Morrowind is the game that made me fall in love with RPGs, and again, gameplay is super jank. This is 100% just in the world building and the lore. I grew up on that island, man. It's just... I grew up on Vardenfell. I did legitimately, I played Elder Scrolls Online a while back, like a few years back. And I occasionally jumped back into it. The first time I went to Morrowind to Vardenfell in Elder Scrolls Online, I shed a tear. When the music started, it just felt like home. It just legitimately felt like home. God, I love that story. I don't even want to spoil anything. It has a legitimately fantastic story. The best one out of all the Elder Scrolls games. Fight me on that. It has the best one. Way better than Oblivion or Skyrim. Or Daggerfall, for that matter. And, I mean, Arena barely has a story. It does, but you know what I mean. Majora's Mask. I talked about games that have gimmicks and that take risks and their design philosophies. When a game takes as many risks as Majora's Mask, it either works for you or it doesn't. And for a lot of people it didn't with Majora's Mask. For me it 100% worked. I love the 3-day cycle and the schedule that every single NPC has because of it. And that you get more intricate, like multiple days spanning side quests because of it. I love the darker tone, and yeah, I don't know. It's also pure atmosphere again, but I do think it also has some of the best dungeons and designs. Again, I was someone who really loved the 3-day cycle, and if you don't like it, you probably won't like this game as much. But I highly recommend playing the N64 version because they did try to soften a lot of the edgy design decisions in the remake. And I disagree with that. That makes the game less special to me. Chrono Trigger has been my favorite game ever since I played it in like 2010, 2011. I played it because I had a resurging interest in Super Nintendo games, and I was old enough and had the resources through the internet to be like, oh, there were a bunch of games that I know we didn't get in Europe, or that I hadn't even still, never played. What are some people online saying about those games? And a lot of people were like, yeah, Chrono Trigger is where it's at. At this point, RPGs had already been my favorite genre. And I played it. I fell in love with it immediately. I still love it. We are going to play a bit afterwards. I'm still intending, even though it's pretty late, to play like an hour of Chrono Trigger or so. My first tattoo is of Frog, because he's a fantastic character. The music still hits. Chrono Trigger, in my opinion, there is not a single flaw in Chrono Trigger. This is the only game on this whole list where I would say that. There is not a single flaw in Chrono Trigger. It is quite literally, for what it wants to achieve, a perfect game. Nothing is bad in this game. I don't even know what else to say. Chrono Trigger is amazing. Everyone should play it. Everyone who has a passing interest in JRPGs, or RPGs in general, should play Chrono Trigger. And that's what we are about to do in just a bit of time. Because those are, I guess, timestamp now, 23rd of December 2025, my 25 favorite games. Some of those might even be different tomorrow. Probably, if some are different, it's probably going to be the last row. I think the first 5 are set in stone. The first 10 are very unlikely to ever swap. And even these 2 rows, they might switch around, but I don't think they will leave the top 25 anytime soon. I like talking about games. This was 1.5 hours. This was roughly what I thought it would be. But yeah. I thought we would be like maybe an hour or so. Okay, so it was longer. But hey. That's what you get for letting me babble.